this is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how is install and how have these couple of days this week been different compared to the last couple of years?
Yeah, just more learning, a little bit more studying. Obviously, a new system, new coordinator, new everything. We're changing the guard here, and so for me, just studying and getting with the guys. A lot of extra meetings with the receivers, running backs, O-line, talking through some things, making sure that we're prepared when we get out here for practice. And so far it's been good.
You would have studied anyway, though. Like
Of
you would
course,
have studied hard.
of
You
course.
would have worked with those guys. So, what are you doing differently with those habits and with that study time?
It's just a matter of repetition. Because it's all new, fairly new to all of us. I think Jack's the only guy, Jack Westover, he was already in this system. But for the most part, everyone's learning a new system, and we're all pretty much starting at the same spot. And so, like, for us, just talking about things that we may not understand with the coaches or gaining some clarity if we need it, whether that's from me or, from one of the coaches. And that's something that we're just continuing to work on together, just kind of learning this thing and then obviously wanting to get out here on the practice field, execute, and then be able to coach off of that.
So did you have any communication with Michael Penix Jr., given that, he had been with Ryan over at UW and
Yeah, I talked to him, last year, obviously, and then, I kind of sent him a text, when he got drafted, but, not really. Mike's got to do his thing. He's got to, figure out how to be an NFL quarterback and stuff, and so for me, I just got to, do this stuff on my own, and it's not really that difficult. It's really something. I've been in the league 12 years now. I've seen all the systems that, you can throw at me, and so it's a matter of learning, studying, and, I think I have pretty good study habits.
Obviously, it's early, but what are your impressions of Grubb in this offense?
Very impressed, man. Obviously, from the stuff that he's done in college, he has a great track record. And then just being a part of the system, being able to learn from him, the type of guy that he is, type of man that he is, type of coach that he is, I think there's going to be great things, coming for us. And Coach Grubb is doing a great job at, being demanding, making sure that guys are studying and on point and knowing their assignments, but also, giving guys some grace. It is a new system, a new offense, and guys are going to mess some things up. And so that's not necessarily a terrible thing. We can gain from that. So, Grubb's doing a great job, and it's our job to make him, make the plays come alive and make it all look good.
How do you feel like the offense plays to your skills?
Man, I gotta, get more reps in practice, and obviously get a chance to go out there and play in the game to really have a great assessment of that. But overall, I feel like I'm a drop back passer, and I feel like this is a drop back offense. An offense that's going to spread the ball around. Trust the quarterbacks to make the right decisions. That's pre and post snap, and so I feel like that's something that I'm really good at. And so just want to make sure that I'm doing the right things when it comes to that.
You called yourself a drop back passer, but you also posted the shot of you with the fastest. What was it? The fastest GPS time?
That was a PR. Yeah, that was a PR. I had 21. I thought it was a mistake myself, but it wasn't. So yeah, I had 21. So apparently, the off-season workouts and stuff been paying off.
Did you guys pick it up the next day and run a little faster?
Everybody beat me after that. It was good for that one day, and then you could see guys running 22s, and then I was at the bottom again. So.
Does your off-season program change at all, or what you do as you get a little bit older and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, really just diet. That's the main thing, is maintaining my diet, and then overall, obviously you gotta work hard no matter what age you are, and once you get up there a little bit more, it becomes that much more important. So just making sure that I'm on it, staying on my routine, just doing the little things that's gonna preserve me for the long run.
In watching this offense over at UW the last couple of years, there's a lot of shifts, a lot of motions and stuff. It seems like you guys are bringing that over here. So,
yeah.
How much more does that put on your plate with the shifts and the motions, more so than maybe what you've done the last couple of years?
Yeah, we're not going to shift the motion that much, but we'll be able to get out there and do some things. And obviously, NFL quarterback, man, there's going to be everything's on your plate. You're getting in and out of the huddle, calling the play, making sure guys are lined up in the right spots, making sure the O-line knows what they're doing, running backs. It's always going to be a lot on your plate. I think Grubb, again, has a great system. It demands a lot from the quarterback, pre and post snap, and he has a great way of giving us some answers. And so the thing we have to do, again, is just be really disciplined with all of our reads, reading our keys, and then obviously getting out there and making the plays when they come about.
It's early in the installation process, obviously, but this is not the first time you've had to learn a new offense in the NFL. How does so far this process compare to, say, when you had multiple offensive coordinators in your career in New York and going to LA and with the Giants? How does it compare, and how do those situations help you now in this situation?
I will say it's a lot easier. When I first got into the league, all the words, they meant nothing to me. Now 12 years, a lot of these plays I've run before, a lot of the ways we execute things I've been around. It's just a different language. And so it's a matter of just learning the terminology and then, obviously being able to recite it back to the guys in the huddle and go out there and, again, make the plays. So, it's a lot easier for me now that I've, been in the league a little bit, but it's still a matter of studying, and I really take that serious.
Your receiving corps pretty much saw the same guys from last year with Jackson and Jake now in their
Right.
year 2 and stuff like that. How much does that help that there's so much continuity there with the skill guys?
Shoot, that helps a lot. I look forward to guys making big jumps. All of us. The entire group. DK, Tyler, Jackson, Bobo, Derek, all those guys. I think they all have a shot to do some really good things. I think D had a really good day today. I thought he made some really good plays, and I can see that group, just continuing to make strides. Bringing Coach Frizz in, a guy who has a track record for, coaching great receivers. I think he's going to be able to make those guys better. And so I think as long as we continue to push each other, continue to work hard, we got a real shot.
What does Ryan demand from you guys, the quarterbacks, like leadership-wise?
The main thing is, having that presence, in the huddle and in the locker room. And that's something that a quarterback has to have no matter, who the coordinator, who the coach is. You want your quarterback to be a leader. You want your quarterback to be respected. And that's something that I think that he really talks about and he emphasizes. And then obviously being smart, that's the main thing, knowing what to do. Guys respect guys who know their assignment and know what they're doing. And so making sure that I'm always that guy who's prepared, and that allows the guys around me to feel comfortable knowing that the quarterback's prepared.
How different is the practices? How the tempo, how it's run? Do you notice anything different from last year to this?
No bags out there, so don't have to do the bags before practice, and then it's OTAs, so I'm pretty sure training camp and as we go into the season, things will ramp up a little bit more and maybe even tone down some as the season goes on. So you always adjust it, and what I can see so far is. Coach does a great job at making sure that we understand the tempo of practice. We understand, the rules of OTAs, not attacking the ball, that type of stuff. And then for the most part, it's the same. You go out there, you got to execute. Very demanding. Coach demands excellence, and that's what we're trying to provide.
Is this where you want to be installing? I know that they're going to slow game with the install, but is this where you want to be at this point in the offseason installing an offense?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a really good spot, honestly. I feel like personally, I can say, I feel like I really have a really good grasp of the offense. I know there's still things that I have to learn, but, from the installs that we've done, really sharp with those things. And then as a group, it's not just about me personally, it's about the collective group. And so that's what's important is that we all are, on top of our stuff and prepared. And that's coming along well as well. I think we're all just getting better. We had a few mistakes out there at practice, but that's a good thing. Those are things we can clean up and we can learn from. And then, just try to eliminate the mental mistakes and just go out there and play fast.
You mentioned that presence that you have to have. You talked about, is that something that you feel like you've always had in you, or is it something that's kind of come along throughout the course of your career?
I think, I've always had it, but I also think that, those things develop and you can get better at those things as well. And so, when I was younger, I was the guy who had to listen and learn. I had to watch the vets and I had to, figure out, how to be a pro. As I got older, I began to be the guy who can help the younger guys and stuff like that. And so I think that just comes with age, some of that development. But, obviously you got to have it in you to start.
This is your third year as a starter, and you're going to have a different starting center that's going to be snapped into you. Where's the relationship at with Timmy and now Nick Harris coming over? And just how critical is that with a new offense with everything that the center's in charge of up front?
Yeah, well, first of all, Olu played for us some last year, and I thought, I actually thought he did a really good job, and I thought he was really, really prepared, and I thought, for a rookie, it was very impressive. Being that it's his second year, we're both learning a new offense at the same time, so our communication has been great. We're talking things out, and I'm learning from him, different O-line calls and things that they're adjusting at the line of scrimmage, as well as he's learning from me as far as, what I'm seeing as the quarterback and kind of how I like things to be done. So it's an ongoing process. We're still early in that process, but I think Olu's done a great job, tremendous job, and I think he's only going to continue to get better.
With that group in general, I know it's hard to evaluate offensive linemen in this setting, but with the moves that the team made there, what do you feel like the prospects are for that group and how it's coming along?
Shoot, man, I think they're going to be the best in the world. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I think we got the right guys. I think we got the right coaches. And it all comes down to having the right mindset. But the leadership is great. You got a guy in Charles Cross who is a great young tackle. We're getting Abe back. We got George back in the fold. He's been great throughout his career. getting Nick here, a guy who understands ball. He knows what he's doing. The guards have been doing a great job. A second year for AB. It'd be great to see how he can improve in his second year. And if they collectively come together, I think that group could be, as young as they are, I think they could be one of the best in the world.
I got another position group question. Running backs, what are you seeing? What have you seen?
Shoot, man, explosiveness. What are you gonna call it? Y'all can make up a nickname for those guys, but you talk about Ken Walker. In my opinion, one of the best backs in the league, can do it all, can catch out of the backfield, and the best part about him is he's super tough. Zach Charbonnet, in my opinion, another number one running back, 3-down running back, can do it all. And the thing about him, he's always prepares like a pro, knows what he's doing. Kenny McIntosh coming along. We got some younger guys who are still coming along, but overall, that group, man, any one of those guys can touch the ball and make a play, and ultimately, that's what you want from a running back group.
So we got to come with a nickname for them?
You guys can do that. I'm not coming up with it, but, they usually like smash and dash and all that. So, we'll see.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
How's it been with Sam Howell so far? Just that relationship building. Obviously, the starter and backup is a pretty important relationship.
Yeah, Sam is man. We've been hanging out, playing Boo-Ray. We went to Cabo. We did some golfing, developing our relationship, and Sam's a really, really talented young player. He played a lot of football to be that young. He did a lot of great things, showed a lot of great things on tape, and I think for me, the whole starter backup thing, I don't ever wrap my mind around that. It's about that group. The quarterback group has got to be a collective unit. Whoever goes in the game has got to have the support of the other guys. So for me, it's always about us learning and working together and pushing each other together, and that can only provide us with excellent chance to get better.
Geno, obviously the schedule came out. You guys have 2 Thursday games this year. They're going to play on Christmas on a Wednesday. They're going to play a Friday game at the start of the season. I think every day except for Tuesday's going to have games.
Yeah.
Is it getting to be too much a little bit, or are you guys fine with sort of these schedules that are a little bit all over the place?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't even looked at the schedule. I don't even know. I know we played Broncos week 1, and I think we got 2 away preseason games, and the last one's at home. But anything past that, I haven't really looked at. So I play football, man. Wherever they want me to play, whenever it's time to show up, I'll be there.
With all this new here, Geno, is there anything that you've not seen before that's totally new to you, the way they're doing things?
I wouldn't say that, no. It's everyone's got their own style. Every coach has got his own style, his own philosophy, and it's about buying in. And I think guys are doing a great job of buying into what Mike's doing, and we got to continue to do that. I think he's a great coach, man. He understands exactly what he wants to do, and he's laid it out for us. And so it's our job to execute.
You said you guys went to Cabo?
Yeah, we all went down to Cabo.
How long was that?
How's my golf game? Not good enough. So I gotta keep working. On it.
You all the offense?
Not the whole offense, but about 15 of us. Yeah.
Who's the best golfer?
Tyler would say him, but I think we're all pretty bad. So I don't think nobody could take that one. But yeah, Tyler might say him.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Those are really tough ones.